So this week, Malcolm Turnbull, the Prime Minister of Australia, made a huge announcement in the news saying that he was about to scrap the 457 temporary visa. Now, it might not seem like a huge deal to anyone who comes from overseas, but let me put it this way. I would say half of the recruitment industry are over here from the UK and other places, and they get here and are sponsored by a company through a 457 visa. No longer are companies able to sponsor recruiters unless they are more than 5 staff, which is going to hurt obviously the smaller boutique type companies, or there are more than $1 million in revenue. So it really just plays into the hands of the bigger agencies. The small guy's going to suffer, and I think, to be honest with you, in the recruitment industry is a really bad thing. If you look at the wider market, Australia is such a small place. It's only 23 million people, so it's tiny in terms of population size. The fact of the matter is they just don't have the niche skills here to satisfy the demand. If you take software or digital, for example, things like user experience, niche type of software engineers, front-end developers, mobile developers, that type of thing, they are screaming out for people to come over from abroad. And what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to stem the flow of immigration to Australia, and they've actually come out and said, as a government, they want to stop the 457 as a route to citizenship, which is just plain wrong, to be honest. One of the things that happens, I see a lot as well, if you put the 457 to the side, is that so I see software developers all the time. Over the last 4 and a bit years that I've been here in Australia, I've seen software engineers who, let's say, come from India. They're Java developers, they've got master's degrees in computing science, they're extremely good at what they do, they've got maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years experience. They actually pay for permanent residency from India, which is 12,000 Australian dollars. It's a huge amount of money in India, but they save up for 4 or 5 years, and they take their children out of school and they bring them over here and they pay their money and they get their permanent residency, and the government says, come in, you're down on our list, we need people with your skills, there'll be a job for you here. And what happens is they don't realise when they come here that there's 250 Java developers for every one job. So the government aren't being honest with people who are coming in from overseas, and they really don't understand what is actually in demand and what's not. Those same people that come over here on permanent residency visas, Java developers, if I take them just as one example, these poor people are coming over and they're not able to get a job in 12 months. So what they end up doing is they end up driving a fucking taxi or working in bloody McDonald's, which is just wrong. They're leaving behind good careers in India and other places to come over here. They've been hoodwinked by the Australian government, and they're quite happy to take the money off them, grant them PR, but they've genuinely got such a huge amount of competition for jobs when they actually arrive. So the government are doing a really bad thing by changing the 457 visa system. Now, some people will argue that there's essentially the same system in place because there's a 2-year visa, a new 2-year visa, which is basically a temporary visa. You work for 2 years and then you leave, and that's it. There's no route to permanent residency and all the rest of it. The other type of visa that they have on offer now is called a medium-term strategic skill list, which is a 4-year visa. But they've taken off so many occupations from the list, and rightfully so in some regards. But for instance, when it comes to software and digital, and which is what I do, which is what my bread and butter is, they really don't understand what the hell they're talking about, basically, because what they've taken off web developers. So they're saying, as a country, we're no longer interested in web developers, but on the list that they're still interested in are analyst programmers, software engineers, developer programmers. Basically the same thing. So how can you say that you're not interested in one but you're interested in the other when essentially they're the same bloody thing? So what the government needs to do in terms of if they really are serious about stimulating innovation and replacing the mining boom here in Australia with a thriving tech sector, they really need to get their arse in gear and start investing in people and opening up the borders instead of shutting them down. If I take Silicon Valley as a perfect example of this, Silicon Valley is the hotbed of tech in the whole world. We all know that. It's where Google is, it's where Facebook is, where all the best startup and large tech companies are in the world, right? So America is a country with 323 million people in it, and they have some of the best universities, Ivy League universities in the world, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford, and all the rest of it. In Silicon Valley, 70% of the software engineers who work in Silicon Valley come from overseas. They come from India, the UK, Australia, China, and all the rest of it. So if America, that's got a population of 323 million in some of the best universities in the world, can only contribute 30% of the software engineering talent in the best tech sector in the world, why the hell would Australia think that they can do any better than that? It beggars belief. So as you can see, I'm pretty het up about it. I've been thinking about it. It's been on my mind all bloody week. So I wanted to do this kind of rant to get it off my chest. Yeah, a really sad day I think for Australia, especially the tech sector, which is the sector I know best of all. I think that's going to really suffer. I think there's some political posturing going on for sure in the background, and the reasons why they've come out and made the announcement and the timing of it and all the rest of it, I think is very, very suspicious. So yeah, a very sad day. Big companies even like Atlassian have come out and said that they have I think 600 software engineers based here in Sydney, and the two founders have come out and said that if the 457 is abolished, which it now has been, then they'll move their engineering team offshore and base them in Austin, Texas instead of here in Sydney. So ultimately it's going to make life really, really difficult for startups. It's going to make life really, really difficult for recruitment agencies that are small, and it's going to make life very, very difficult for companies that need in-demand skills, because at the end of the day there aren't the skills here in Australia to satisfy the demand. There might be if you invest in grassroots things like universities and training up people cross-training from different industries, then yes, you will satisfy that demand with Australian workers. But it might take you 10 or 15 years, and in that 10 or 15 years the Australian economy is just going to suffer. So they need to get on board with that. Anyway, that was my 2 cents worth. Please do me a favour and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the like button, click the dislike button, leave a comment. I'll answer every single comment, and hope you all have a good week.